Skills. That's what we're talking about today. Skills has been, frankly, an esoteric notion for a long time. And I'm really happy that we are here in 2020 and we're actually getting a handle around what that actually means. And in turn, how to identify skills, how to develop skills, how to use them in very intentional ways, not only to help organizations, but to help individuals. Because if this graphic might amuse you, it amuses me since I first saw it. It has Lucy and Snoopy together, and I'll let you look at it yourself. You can see, Snoopy was fooled by the job description. And frankly, I don't think historically we have done very well in writing job descriptions. I don't think we've done very well in terms of how to focus development in ways that will benefit the employee to be more employable within the organization for which they're working. And so as we move forward, can we get better and more intentional and really shrink the delta between what we're selling to individuals and what we're actually delivering? And that's going to take us being more clear on what we're offering and the language that we use and how we actually go and search for appropriate talent. So the questions that came in all related to these three questions. What are skills? So we'll spend a little bit of time defining them, how best to measure them, and how best to use them. And these latter two, I'm really going to step into with Rob Sense from MZ in the second half hour. But for now, I want to give you my perspective from a data perspective, but as well as a human, a worker perspective as well. So, what are skills? Again, it's been an esoteric notion for many. Go develop your skills. Hey, we need better skills. We need more appropriate skills. What are skills? I'm going to tee this up right at the outset. If we're looking at skills, are we also looking at behaviors? Is there a distinction between these two? And historically, people have said, well, there's hard skills and then there's soft skills. I don't like that language. In fact, I dislike that language, and this is why. When some group of individuals said those are soft skills, in my view, they applied a feminine association to what was kind and curious and thoughtful behavior. And frankly, historically, men have not been well suited at exhibiting these behaviors. Therefore, there was a feminine, weak association associated with those skills or those behaviors. I don't like that. As we all know, as human beings, if you've done any self-work, developing intentional behaviors is hard. It takes a lot of effort. And in fact, the quote unquote hard skills are arguably easier to obtain than these, again, historically soft skills. So with that in mind, I bail on both those terms and I call a distinction between skills, aka hard skills, and behaviors, formerly known as better as soft skills. So with this distinction, we can now look at competencies. So if I bundle these two together, that's how I would advocate we think about competencies. So is someone competent at using R or Python, or have some background that they have obtained through or capability, rather, I should use my language intentionally, capability that they've used in a role, for example, and now that is a skill that they can market externally or within a particular organization. Similarly, if they've worked on their communication, the way they show up, the authenticity, the growth mindset, the affirmative inquiry, all these things, those behaviors, how do we put those out in the world and be found for what we're now good at and what we formerly maybe weren't good at? So with this in mind, let's put this into a broader context. And I just jumped right into what I call the talent assessment and development framework. So the skills and behaviors are just 2 of 10 dimensions within this framework. And the others are experience, So what has somebody done over the course of their career? Their education slash knowledge. So education formal, knowledge informal. In other words, if you have a degree, a certification, that would be formal education. Knowledge might be YouTube videos that you watched, books that you read, and so forth. And is this being captured? Are you as an individual aware of the knowledge that you've gained that might actually help you do your work? And this brings us to the fifth dimension, the contributions, that's accomplishments that you've done in your career or even academically. So ultimately, in my view, I don't really care what someone's responsible for. I'm interested in what they have done historically and what they're being asked to do moving forward. In other words, what they're going to contribute, or whether they're contributed as part of a team or accomplish as an individual, which relates to how someone spends their time. What are their habits around what I would call temporal intelligence? And there's a lot of great software right now that's being developed, Cassiopeia, Time is Limited, Workplace Analytics, and others who are shedding light on how we are, as individuals, teams, and groups, are actually using our time. And is that aligned with what we're actually asked to do? Relationships. So again, those same technologies, as well as organizational network analysis, shed light on the relationships that we have and the relationships that we could have to actually better do the work that we're being asked to do. In other words, if we're in a team and now we should be engaging another team to actually help us deliver on what we've been asked to deliver, then are we actually doing that? Is that an intentional effort? Is that a gap that we now need to fill, enable us to do what we need to do faster, more effectively, what have you? Are we as individuals understanding that the work that we're doing is aligned with our passions, our purpose, our intentions? And oftentimes it's not. People go to school, they get degrees, and it's about the should, and all of a sudden they find themselves in this position where, hey, this isn't right for me. The last two are more basic, but as an individual, what do I want to get paid? As an organization, what am I willing to pay? And what are the benefits, and not only the healthcare benefits, but the wellness benefits? Am I willing to commute 2 hours to work each day? Or do I want to work 30, 40 hours at home, which obviously is reality here today? Where I'll wrap this up is, we need to think about how we're going to bring all this stuff together. So what would it be like if the way we described our jobs, created our job description, was the way we assessed and developed talent internally, which was the same lens by which we went externally and recruited and assessed talent? And what would it be like to compare internal candidates with external candidates through the same lens? So that's what we're going to talk about when we get back, actually how to make this happen, because there's a ton of data out there and there's solution providers that can help you get to this stage. It's not far reaching anymore. It's really a decision that's going to need to be governed between talent acquisition, development, operations, and a host of formerly disparate groups. So we'll talk about that right after this commercial.